Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of me giving advice to college students on their relationships and how to build them better and how to work on them. So this week we got a submission from a girl named Casey. Casey has been struggling with forgiveness and active listening in her friendship with her roommate Emma and also one of her best friends. So recently, Emma has started seeing someone and they have been hanging out more, and she's been hanging out with Casey a little less. And Casey's okay with that, but she's just wondering about why they haven't been hanging out as much. Is it with them as in Emma and her new boyfriend, or has Casey been bothering her too much about hanging out? But one conflict that they've had recently is that Emma was sick for a week, and so Casey didn't really get to see her, and Emma's boyfriend was staying with her while she was sick. And so once Emma got done being sick, Casey really wanted to spend time with her and just have a day of them together. And so Casey wanted to go ice skating with Emma, and Emma said she didn't have any money and she was still not really feeling that well, so she didn't really want to go. And Casey said, okay, that's fine. And so then Casey found out later that Emma ended up going golfing with her boyfriend, even though she said that she didn't have any money and that she wasn't feeling well. And so Casey was just a little hurt by her actions and felt like Emma wasn't really putting their friendship first and putting in effort. So we're going to talk about active listening between both parties and the act of forgiveness and the benefits that forgiveness has. So those are the two contexts. So let's get into it. Okay, so one thing that I want to talk about is a book that I have read called Reflect and Relate. In an intro to interpersonal communication, talks about active listening. And one great thing that they said was, when you embrace the power of active listening with your partner or with your friendship, and you take the time to truly listen to other people, we are able to transcend our own thoughts, ideas, and beliefs and begin to experience the other person's words and their world. So maybe Emma and Casey just have different worldviews about how much time they spend with each other. If Emma's thinking it's too much, even though she hasn't really spent a lot of time with Casey because she's had a new boyfriend and is hanging out with him constantly, and maybe Casey thinks that she should be prioritized a little bit more since they have been friends longer than Emma has been with her boyfriend. So that's one thing. But another article that I read that is it is titled, Is the Friendship Worth Keeping? Communicating Forgiveness in Friendships. Talks about how being able to forgive someone helps to restore security and happiness in the friendship and will replace negative effects with positive oriented emotions. So I know that Casey in her submission letter wrote that she was struggling with how to forgive Emma because she felt like she was getting lied to about not wanting to hang out and go ice skating together. And so her heart was a little bit hardened because she didn't know how to forgive Emma. But I have a little bit more of advice for you on that. So another thing that Emma also said in her that Casey said in her submission was that she felt like she's being heard by Emma, but Emma's not listening to her. So that's also where active listening comes into play. And Casey wrote that she has tried to talk about these things with her before, and that's where she said she didn't feel like she was being heard, like Emma wasn't listening to her. So some other tips that I have for both of these parties. The article it's from is called 9 Tips for Having Difficult Conversations with Your Friends or Partners. So I know there's 9, but I only took away about 3 because I felt like those were the most fitting. So To start, we have reflect what you are hearing, even if you don't agree with the other person. So if you guys are sitting down having the conversation, about what was going on, one way that Emma can show that she was actively listening to Casey is starting off with repeating what Casey has said. So she can start her sentence off with saying, like, so let me see if I understand what you're saying. And then this is called reflective listening because it can help stressful situations from escalating and getting things back on track if the other person were to explode in their sadness or angerness with the other person. Another thing is to practice active listening while your friend is talking. So that also goes along with reflective listening by repeating back to make sure that what is being said to you is right coming from the other person. And another tip would be to start your conversation on a positive note. Show how much you appreciate the other person's willingness to talk about the topic at hand, even if it might be a little bit difficult and it's hard to talk about. And show that you're wanting to work with them to find a solution to your conflict. You can say something along the lines of, thank you so much for talking about this with me. It's really been on my mind. I feel better when we can talk about this and work through this together. Those things really help. And then lastly, another term that I have learned is called nexting. So nexting is so important to play into any relationship, friendship, marriage, relationship, whatever. Nexting is always there and you should always be thinking about it. So nexting can be defined as, what positive next step can I take to have the relationship that I want? You always want to think about how to serve the relationship. What can you do to make it better? What things can you change for the other person to see? And vice versa, because there are always, always, always other options. So that is my advice for Casey and Emma, and I really hope it helps you guys. Thanks for listening.